The upper deck of the laptop is made up of high quality plastic with a slick black finish that feels smooth to the touch. If you touch it with wet hands, it will retain the watermarks, but dry hands won't leave any fingerprints on it. I love the minimalistic design that MSI has chosen, and the MSI Dragon logo that lights up when the laptop is on really makes this simple design unique and attractive. The back panel too is made up of plastic, which helps keep the weight of the laptop down. Talking about the weight, this laptop is surprisingly light at 2.2 kgs for a gaming laptop. When we first took it out of the box, we weren't expecting this laptop to be this light looking at the size of the laptop, but MSI surprised us. Though the back panel looks sexy with its slits that look like Batman logo, it is not as functional as we'd have liked it to be. You'd have to open the whole back panel to upgrade the HDD or the RAM. The good news though is that once you get inside, there is an extra room for an SSD if you ever like to add one without having to take the HDD out. Opening the laptop, the hinges are sturdy without being too stiff. The keyboard deck is made up of the same high quality plastic as the upper deck, and the palm rest feels really comfortable. The keyboard is from SteelSeries and there is no flex whatsoever on the keyboard deck. It feels great to type on this keyboard. The keys have decent travel even though they feel a little soft when you type on them. It is an enjoyable experience. One thing you'll notice if you haven't used any MSI laptop until now is that their keyboard layout is a little different. The Windows key is on the right side and the arrow keys are enlarged, which results in a smaller than normal right shift key, but after a day of use, you'll get used to it. Gamers might even like it, as this reduces the accidental presses on Windows key while playing games. The touchpad though is a little on the worst side. It is using Synaptic driver rather than the Windows Precision. When you first got the laptop, the tracking was just terrible. Moving your fingers full length of the touchpad only moved the cursor a quarter length of the screen. There was no 2-finger scrolling or 3-finger gesture support, but once we let the Windows update itself for a day, the experience became much better. The acceleration of the cursor is now way better and smoother. 2-finger scrolling and 3-finger gesture have become available. Still, the palm rejection is non-existent and accidental presses while typing are a commonplace. The button mechanism can feel a little difficult to use if you are coming from a laptop where the whole touchpad worked as 2 buttons, but these issues with touchpads are typical of a gaming laptop, and most of the gamers are going to use a mouse anyway. The port selection on this laptop is great. It has 2 USB 3.0 Type A ports on the right with a full-sized SD card reader. On the left, you have an additional USB 3.0 Type A port, separate headphone and a microphone jack, a Type-C USB port, a mini display port, an HDMI and an Ethernet jack. So there's pretty much every port you might need in today's day and age in this laptop. A Thunderbolt port is missing, but it was not expected at this price anyway. Now let's talk about the thing that you most wanted to hear, the performance. Inside this laptop lies the 6-core 8th Gen Intel Core i7-8750S processor and a 4GB NVIDIA 1050 graphics card. The 8th Gen Intel Core i7 processors are the latest 45-watt CPUs from Intel and are one of the most powerful you can find on a laptop. They are nearly 50% faster in multi-core performance compared to the previous 7th Gen Intel i7HQ processors, and though many of you may say that NVIDIA 1050 is not that powerful graphics card, we ran some games on it and you can see the results for yourself. PUBG ran smoothly with no noticeable lag or stutters in low settings at 1080p. The frame rates never dipped below 60 FPS and we are getting a consistent 60 to 65 FPS most of the times. On medium settings, the game ran at still smooth 50 to 55 FPS, and at high settings, we were getting 45 FPS with occasional drops to the 30s range. Overall, playing PUBG on this laptop was an enjoyable experience. We played some other games too, and these are the results. So you can see that this laptop cruises through Fortnite in any setting and plays Dota like a champ. The thermals on this laptop are great too. The upper part of the keyboard deck gets a little warm, but not to the point where it feels uncomfortable to type on. The fans are very quiet. Never in our saw testing did we hear the fans make some obnoxiously loud noise. MSI's thermal management is excellent in this laptop, but not everything is rainbow and sunshine here. You'll notice occasional lag and stutter in normal tasks like opening a file explorer when Chrome and Word is open in the background. That's not because the RAM is small or the processor is weak. It's because this laptop has a traditional hard drive HDD, which is bound to be slower than an SSD. The screen on this laptop is a 1080p panel. It gets decently bright, but it is not the most color accurate or eye-pleasing display I've ever seen. If you're coming from an Ultrabook or a MacBook or any other more expensive gaming laptops, you may notice that the colors look washed out and the viewing angles are not that great. So if you're looking for a laptop to do some video editing or for editing, this might not be the best choice. But after using it for a day, I've gotten used to this display, and never during a gaming session did I feel that the monitor is ruining the gaming experience for me. While the screen on this laptop is okay, the speakers are phenomenal. These speakers use Nahimic 3, an audio spatialization solution created by the French company Volute, and the audio boost technology from MSI for 360-degree immersive audio experience. The rich full sound from this laptop speaker caught me by surprise for the first few times. It's loud enough to easily fill a small room. It's lagging bass a little, but you'll love this speaker.